The eternal departure from the world of the living to that of the dead has always been seen as the most feared and dramatic transition known of humanity. In the land of ancient Ireland, the entity closely related with this was the Morrigan, a triple goddess appearing in a single form and who was first and foremost a goddess of war and death, but also presided over fate and prophecy. She could not only predict but influence the future and was thought to have the might of selection over whom get the right to live or die in battle. The reasons sometimes were her own, but she was by this mean in charge to preserve the normal order of the world. The Morrigan was symbolized through her ability to transform, notably into a woman dressed with red bloody garment who foretells the future of those about to go on battle, sometimes as a red-furred wolf, a white heifer or a battle queen ready for war. Such incredible shape-shifting abilities were commonly associated with divinities connected with druids and bards, both of whom were believed to have had the knowledge and power to change their appearance into anything they possibly wished for. However, the Morrigan most often adopted the form of a raven or a crow, the carrion birds that she was often seen accompanied by, and would in this form swoop over on battlefields to devour the bodies of the slain. Because of her relationship with death, war and ravens, the Morrigan bears striking similarities with some regional deities, and was often compared with Odin and his ravens from Norse mythology. The Gaelic term morrigan was thought to have served as a vessel to a more anglicized form in the trait of Morrigan, and linked to similar words found across the entire continent, the first part deriving from the roots of an old word having terror and fear for connotations, referring specifically to something more spiritually dark like a phantom or a terrifying ghost. The second part on the other side bears similarities to the Latin word regina, the literal translation of queen. Both expressions therefore led to the renowned epithet of Phantom Queen, a title acknowledging the symbiotic relationship between the dead and the Morrigan. She was seen by ancient Irish as an archetypal figure in her connection with the otherworld, and the term Morrigan was in turn used to particularly describe any malevolent female spirit. Being a goddess so heavily associated with war and prophecy, the Phantom Queen was involved in the premonitions of warriors condemned to face violent deaths on battlefield, with a particular emphasis on individuality. It was commonly believed that if a warrior was to witness the Morrigan washing his blood-stained armor, it would be an omen of him never coming back. This of course inevitably nourished the reason behind the choice of those who stayed away from battle or deserted in the middle of a war. The role of foretelling doom often leads the Morrigan to be closely linked to the Banshee in later Irish tales. But unlike the Irish harbinger of death, the Morrigan was not only a symbol of imminent doom but could also influence the outcome of wars. She would frequently do it by appearing as a crow hovering above heads, and would either inspire fear or courage in the hearts of warriors. There are few rare accounts where she took part in the battle itself as a warrior and show her favoritism in a more direct manner. The Morrigan was called upon to incite her fellow warriors to battle and could bring them victory by striking unbearable fear into their enemies. The shape-shifting ability of the Morrigan was seen as an expression of her affinity with the living, especially with livestock. And although she is most frequently portrayed as a goddess of war, the Morrigan protected the interests of her people as she was primarily concerned with the prosperity and fertility of the land. She was a provider of political and military aid against external aggression by making her appearances on battlefield pretty common, acting as a goddess of sovereignty and not necessarily of war. The notion of trinity having an incredible significance in Celtic mythology was reflected in one of the most prominent characteristics of the Morrigan. Her nature as a triple goddess of war consisted of a trio of individuals representing a different aspect of the Morrigan, and were collectively known as the three morrigna. Bod, the scald crow; Nemain, who spreads panic and fear; and Macha, the speedy horse of battle. Depending on the source, it is believed in many stories that these were names belonging to the same goddess acting under a single bodily entity. Occasionally, the Morrigan was featured as one of the three sisters, while other times she appeared as a singular figure surrounded by ravens. It is difficult to find the exact origin of the Morrigan. Many seem to think that she was part of the mystical Danu tribe, the descendants of the mother goddess Danu. The tribe was living in Ireland before being driven underground by the coming of the Fomorians, a supernatural race in Irish mythology often portrayed as a clan of monstrous beings who came from under the sea to the shore of Ireland. The Morrigan helped protecting the people of Danann by blowing thick layers of fog over the land, decreasing its visibility from invading armies, which chiefly represents the goddess as guardian of the territory and its people. In another memorable myth, she maintained a sexual relationship with the Dagda, the powerful leader of the Danu tribe who came across her while she was straddling a river, then fell upon her lustfully, overwhelmed by her massive charms. As a result, the Morrigan joined forces with the tribe on multiple occasions, singing her people to victory as mentioned in the Cath Meg Tuatha, where they would defeat the Fomorians and reclaim their heritage. Regardless to her connection with war, the Phantom Queen was also depicted as having an immense sexual appetite, which led many to think that the Dagda likely traded sex in exchange for her power in a plan of action on battlefield. We can see it in the Ulster cycle when she desired and seduced the warrior Cu Chulainn. But the hero showed no concern and rejected her approaches. Unable to deal with this humiliation, the Morrigan turned upon him in fury and sought out for revenge. She appeared harassing the warrior with an ominous foretelling so that he could make amend of the relationship, until he eventually went forth to his death. But there are accounts mentioning her connection with the warrior as equally ambiguous. Although the Morrigan lusted after the warrior, she also protected him in an almost maternal fashion, guarding him from his death. The Morrigan is unique to Irish mythology, though there have been attempts to link her with other figures within the Celtic lore, but was left as a mysterious figure due to a lack of sufficient information. Over the years, many tried to associate the Morrigan with the powerful enchantress and great antagonist from the Arthurian legend, Morgan Le Fay, who shared remarkable similarities with the Phantom Queen of Ireland. They were both shapeshifters and prophets who appeared in many forms foretelling the future with such fearful accuracy. But the relationship between them doesn't go any further, as the names Morgan and Morrigan have totally unrelated meaning in Welsh and Irish respectively. The Morrigan, the fearsome Celtic deity who could take without a second thought the lives of those who have crossed her, was an Irish goddess ruling over the outcome of wars, the keeper of fate and purveyor of prophecy. Hopefully this video was able to shed some light about the Phantom Queen. Consider leaving a like and subscribe if you've enjoyed it, and make sure to share your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, stay curious.